Well, Fast Eddie, great to have you on here. What's going on?
Thanks, buddy. Good to be here. Thanks for having me. Just the last month's been kind of crazy, traveling and doing some pretty cool stuff, some appearances and doing some private events. And
yeah, I figured you'd just be, kick your feet up and be basking in the glory of 2 world championship belts. But no, you got some work to do, huh?
Yeah, I took a month off and relaxed and not relaxed, but did some traveling, but haven't been in the gym, haven't done anything physically, but still the speeds were pretty good. So haven't.
So
really
how do you feel? Because obviously you have experience with tournament golf and long drive, and do you like to take an off season? Obviously, when you're pushing as hard as you are and getting as fast as you are, and then leading up to the World Championship, it's such a high volume that you should probably take an off season. But normally, do you like to do that?
Yeah, I mean, people, it's so funny, Steve, because I was doing an event maybe like a month ago or right after I won. And this guy asked me, like, what do you do for a gym workout? Like, what do you do, like, working out? And I said, I spend about 3 hours in the gym 5 days a week. He's like, yeah, it looks like it. I'm like, I'm just kidding. I literally work out 3 to 4 days a week, 45 minutes, maybe give or take each session. I'm like, no way. I'm like, I'm telling you, it's quality over quantity. I know exactly, with my trainer, Jeff Flagg and Dr. Joe Lacaze with Rotex Motion, and I know exactly what I'm doing. Everything is specific. It's about the quality of the movement. It's not about how much weight you can push. If you can push, some weight efficiently and effectively and make it a really quality movement, because it's all about perfection when it comes to that. So I just kind of, check my ego in at the door. And if I can do, 40 pounds doing a certain movement, it's all about the quality of that. And it's about balance of the body. So it's not about, bench pressing 405 or squatting 600. I know plenty of guys that are 28 years old and with back problems and knee problems and hip problems. And but luckily I've been, I've kind of been non-egotistical in the gym when it comes to that. So it's all about quality.
Yeah, I one of the earlier episodes was with Tom Berry at Westside Barbell, and I mean he coaches all kinds of world record holders, Olympic athletes, stuff like that. And for golf, he's also worked with a lot of top golfers. And it seems like there's kind of a minimum level of strength that you need in certain exercises, certain movements. And then once you go above that, of course, the law of diminishing returns, maybe it'll help, or maybe it'll open you up to potential injuries or put you in some bad motor patterns if you're not doing the specialized stuff with it as well. And then Martin Borgmeyer, the episode with him, he was saying how, he'll work out, but most of his stuff, like his favorite exercising is just going out and hitting balls, max effort, and measuring that and turning that into a workout. And I think as long as you have that minimum level, then that's the way to do it. But I'm sure we've also worked with plenty of junior golfers that need to get stronger, and then their priorities shift a little bit, right? They need to spend some more time, bulking up, building up that little bit of strength, which not only will improve their performance in the short term, but that injury prevention, like you said, number one really is for an athlete being able to be healthy while you're competing. So you have to do whatever you need to stay healthy, to build the musculature around the joints so that they're stronger and safer.
Yeah, no doubt. I see some junior golfers, it's like the club swings them, right? Yeah. They don't have the strength and stability. So, what I do really helps junior golfers and younger kids. And I try to, tell, especially like on the subject of like junior golfers, I tell parents reach out to me all the time and I tell them, have them play basketball, football, baseball, lacrosse, hockey, wrestling. They have to get a good basis of athleticism. And obviously golf too, but it's so important to have that hand-eye coordination to really understand how athletic you are, kind of come into their athletic genius. I mean, I played everything when I was a kid. Baseball, I mean, I looked like a 2-iron. I was, 5'6" and 90 pounds, but I could fling it, 75 miles an hour when I was 12 years old. And I was just very explosive. And that's kind of where I got my nickname Fast Eddie, right? I could swing fast. Throw fast, run fast. So I come from an athletic family, but I tell all these parents I was like that because I played everything. I played quarterback and for a couple of years in junior league football and played shortstop. I pitched center field. And it all goes hand in hand because in order to be athletic, on the golf course, you have to be athletic in other sports. And I think that's really, really important for kids, not to just focus on golf and that's it. You got to do other things as well. Yeah,
for sure. And like you said, don't not play golf, because you need to do that, and you need to develop from a young age the motor patterns and everything. But yeah, it just seems like it's so much healthier on the body, healthier on the mind too. If you have kids that start in tournaments really young, they'll probably, a lot of them, of course, not all of them, but some of them will get burnt out. It's just too much. It's, they need to play more as kids and have fun.
Way too much. And I see it all the time. I see there's a 15-year-old girl that's at my club, and I think she's either South Korean or of Asian descent, and she's out there every day with her mom. She putts for like 2.5 hours on the quad, and then they go and hit balls, and then it's like an everyday thing. She's out there every day, and she looks miserable, and that's unfortunate. I mean, that's kind of the culture, but also, I mean, she needs to be a kid. Kids need to be kids, and like, I want kids to, you want to go play golf, but then go have some fun. Be a kid. Don't be a robot. And there's so many kids and parents that push their kids when they're, 10, 11, 13 years old to be robots. And it's just golf. It's too much. And that's why a lot of these, especially girls on the LPGA tour, I think they're done by the time they're 27.
Yeah.
They're like done. So
just to present kind of like a counter argument, I do think that there is at times, and I'm not saying I'm exempt from this at all, but sometimes there's a lack of like discipline in terms of the structure of how you dedicate your time, how you train. So I think right now, if you look at the LPGA Tour as an example, typically like South Korean women, they've got to be in the top. There have to be maybe like 10 of the top 20 or 15 of the 30. Like there's a lot of them, and I think their lifestyle, their culture, like you were saying, is a little bit more rigorous in terms of you are going to do this. It's a schedule. You're going to follow it and do that. So right. I don't know that I would say that that's the best way, but it's certainly working for them. And maybe because it seems like in American collegiate sports for women, they, maybe there's more options. Maybe they do volleyball or basketball or whatever, but they're such super athletes. I feel like if they could get into golf and use that physical talent that they have, it would be a game changer.
Yeah, no doubt. Look at our sport, right? Look at Troy Mullins. When she was a sprinter, right? She was an athlete.
Yeah, and Kanani.
You look at Chloe Garner, and she's a beast in the gym. I see her stuff online, and I'm like, oh my God, she's an absolute monster.
Yeah.
So, but it's cool to see athletes from other sports come to and try golf, and like Margot Alvarez, right? I kid her on Twitter. I'm like, I want your quads. Like, she's an absolute beast. And but yeah, it's cool to see these girls that played softball or volleyball are really good athletes, and they can pick it up quickly. I noticed that a lot with like some of the people that I've worked with who have been really good athletes in the past or professional baseball players, and they pick it up really quickly.
Yeah, for sure. So we kind of blew past what I wanted to start with you on, and it doesn't matter about the order, but I feel like there are a lot of people that I've worked with, and you probably hear it every day, where they'll say like, oh, when I hit 40 or when I hit 50 or 60, it's like hitting a wall and I just lose distance. I'm sure you've heard that a ton, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you're living proof that that's not the case. You're what, 52, 51?
I'll be 52 in 1 month,
okay.
November 20th. Yeah.
Well, and it seems like you're getting faster. You're swinging 150 miles an hour, putting up 220 mile an hour ball speed. I mean, that's crazy. And most people would think, okay, now that he's going to be 52, he'd be dropping off. So speak a little bit to the people who feel like they have to be losing a lot of distance.
Well, first of all, it's a commitment, right? I made a decision back in 2013 to get into long drive, and I wanted to be the best I possibly could be. I wanted to be a world champion. I wanted to, be number one in the world, and I had goals, and I talked to a guy this weekend about it, and I wanted to get back into golf. I just missed making the tour in 04, took 9 years off, got into the business world, wasn't crazy about it. And then once I made a decision, I'm a golfer, I'm an athlete. I want to do this. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to come hell or high water. I'm going to figure out a way to be successful at it. And there was no plan B.
Excuse me for a second. I want to tell you real quick about my favorite training aid and a sponsor of the podcast, the Lag Shot. It's designed with what they call lag flex technology that'll help you to create and maintain more lag in your swing. which will give you better consistency and more speed, which we all want, right? But my favorite part is that you can go out and actually hit balls with it. It's a real club. They make a driver, a 7-iron, and a wedge. So you can incorporate it into your practice sessions to ingrain the better technique that it's teaching you. Once you try it, you'll see why I love it. Go to lagshotgolf.com/crush or click the link in the description below to get 15% off. lagshotgolf.com/crush.
I've always had, well, what am I going to fall back on if I don't make the tour and this and that? And that's not really a way to think how successful people think. So successful people think, this is what I am, this is who I am, this is what I'm going to do. And like it or not, I'm going to do it. So I don't care what I have to do. I'll do whatever it takes. And, and that's it. I mean, I think that's the difference. I think it's a mindset. And I wanted to be, I was gung-ho. I'm like, I want to hit 150, 225. That's been my goal since I got into long drive. Now, and I hit it this year, and I was like, holy crap, like a goal that I set in like late 2013, I actually hit it at almost 52 years old. I hit it in September, right, like before the ESI. And I was like, wow, it was like such a surreal moment because it's like, I just kept plugging away and just kind of figuring things out. And once, between the training aspect with Jeff and adding Rotex motion with it, it was like the Rotex, it's really wild. This little contraption can open up your hips and open up your shoulders and your range of motion and your health and your, activation and recovery. And it's just incredible. What an incredible tool it is. Just to kind of like, I felt like I was turning more, but it didn't feel like it. And like, I felt so good at World, Steve. It was like, it was unbelievable. And I did it for 12 weeks, 10 minutes a day and every day. And it was just like I had a different body, and it's amazing. As you get older, your mobility starts to go. So, and your strength. And I just kind of kept everything up. I eat really healthy. I eat clean. And because you don't want to you got to think of yourself as when you're an athlete, you're a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. You don't want to put crap. You're not going to put mud in the gas tank. You're going to put the highest quality food, not processed, and drink plenty of water and have a couple cocktails here and there. But as long as it's in moderation. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of like it. At first, I think people are just ready to make excuses all the time. I'm going to be 40. I had this. Man, when I was 35, people were like, oh, wait till you hit 40. I was really going to start hitting you. I'm like, all right. So I hit 40. And then, wait till you hit 45. I'm like, hit 45. And wait till you hit 50. I hit 50 and I'm getting better, faster. People are like, 60s. I'm like, so one of these years is going to be right. Wait till you're 110, Eddie. You're probably not going to swing it. So one of these years it's going to, it'll catch up to me. But you know what? For right now, I'm just kind of keeping on the same path. Balance of the body is hugely important. And I've been 6'4", 215 for, 10 years. I've been kind of stayed the same weight, anywhere between 212 and I got up to like 220 during COVID because I was eating a little bit. but like at Worlds, I was 215. Mm-hmm. And that's a good weight. 212 to 215 is a really good weight for me. I'm not big by any means. And I'm not skinny. I'm kind of like right at that. That's like a perfect fighting weight for me.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you look very fit. Yeah.
Yeah. And, it doesn't take me a lot to stay there. And I just make sure that I eat the right things. And I just, like I said, someday it'll catch up to me probably. But
well, we'll see.
I have more goals. I want to get faster. I want to get more efficient. I want to, I have a lot more that I want to do. And I think as long as I keep thinking that way, and I can't imagine myself not thinking that way until until I'm going all at it and I'm swinging 110 miles an hour, then, that's Father Time is undefeated. So.
Yeah, for sure. You touched on the mental side there, and I think that's huge. If you have those goals, if you have that driven personality, and obviously, you're a driven person. I don't think anybody would be a 2-time world champion without being a driven and focused person. So how do you kind of establish for yourself? You said you set that goal, and how do you establish new ones? Where do you look at yourself right now?
So, my goal is to win number 3 next year, and it's almost like it's not like 2 in a row. It's just do what I need to do to prepare, and I'm going to work even harder. I know, some Riesbeck is coming in, and I may do both divisions next year, so Gavin kind of inspired me to, I mean, he's just an absolute monster, right? I mean, he almost made the final 16 again this year. Mm-hmm. And he's 50, I think he's 54. So when I was watching him, I'm like, man, I wish I did the open division too. But I think it was a good decision because I know how much hitting it is, and it's a lot. And it takes a lot out of you. Like these kids that are 25, 26 are exhausted after hitting. Like imagine being 51 years old, right? Hitting in 2 divisions in the same day. And it's hard. And I really wanted to win number 2. So I just made a decision. Let's just stick with one division, want to, win another one. And I felt great.
Yeah, I think that was a good decision. But it is also awesome to see you and Gavin competing in the open division. And, just going back. So when did you start? Because my first year was 2015. I think you started a year before me?
Yeah, 2014 was my first year.
Okay.
Got into it. I saw Tim Burke win in 2013. And I'm like, man, maybe this is something I can do. So, long story short, I talked to my wife and I said, I'm going to go get on track. I didn't even know what TrackMan was because I hadn't played since 2004. And when I had my old R7, 45 inches long, and some of the guys were like 137, 138, 204, 205 ball speed in the final 8 at the Speedway.
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea. It doesn't look like they're swinging fast. I'm like, let me go see where I am. I was 134, 196, and I'm like with a, regular 10-year-old driver. I'm like, that's pretty good. I think I can do this. So luckily, I met Tommy Azuma with Smart Golf and Fitness up in Chicago, and he kind of helped me out, trained me. I was able to hit at his facility, and now they have, I think, 2 locations up there. Just awesome guys. Still really good friends with them, and they gave me a start and trained me, and I was able to. And actually, Jeff Flagg went to train with them when he moved up to Chicago because his girlfriend was there, now wife at the time, and that's kind of how I met with Jeff, and we became really good friends, and that's kind of how it all started, and I'm like, man, that'd be really cool to do this and hit it as far as you can. I mean, how much fun is that? 2.5 minutes, just absolutely just rip drivers. You don't have to worry about, slow play or anything. You have 2.5 minutes and just let it go.
And in so many mini tour events and stuff like that, they tend to choose courses that are maybe a little smaller where, long hitters are going to be hitting irons off the tee and,
right.
That's whatever. It's probably not the most fun, but then to come over to long drive and just be able to rip on it, it's a cool change.
Oh, dude, it's so much fun. It was so much fun when I got into it because I'd been to Q school 5 times, right? And I see, when you get to the World Championships and you see guys, and it can be nerve-wracking for some people, but going to Q school and I've won a lot of tournaments in my day, and you see guys, their hands are shaking when they're putting the ball in the tee, and like, man, this is nothing. This is like easy compared to like the second stage of Q school with the finals kind of right there, but it's all perspective, right? And a lot of the guys, as I mean, you're a golfer and a good golfer, and a lot of guys come from baseball. It's not their first sport, so. It's nerve-wracking when you're not the best at something and you're trying to be the best. And, it can be tough. I've been doing this since I was 5 years old, took it seriously at like 12, 13 after I played baseball. So, but yeah. Cool.
It's funny you mentioned the shaking hand thing. I was working at Medina Country Club in 2012, I think, when they had the Ryder Cup there. Mm-hmm. And the day before it started, they had like a celebrity pro-am, and I was caddying for wow, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. But, wow, what is his name? Well, anyways, in our group was Michael Phelps. And he had just, that was pretty close to his, 20 gold medals. And he was the same way. On the first tee, he was so nervous he couldn't tee up the ball. He had to have his caddy literally tee up the ball. Mm-hmm. And that's just for a celebrity pro-am. It really doesn't matter too much. It's not like televised live and stuff like that. And he had just been competing in front of millions and millions of people, winning gold medals pretty easily, it looked like, and he couldn't tee up a golf ball.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've done Michael's event before, 23 gold medals. And it's so funny, like doing what we do, right? People are enamored with what we do, like hitting a golf ball 400 yards. And it's easy for us, maybe not easy, but it's what we do. I mean, just people look at that like, how do you do that? How do you hit it straight and hit it so far? And it's like, I could never imagine doing that. Well, everyone has a special, everything is really, really good at something. no matter what it is. So, people look at us and, we can swing a golf club 145 plus miles an hour, and not a lot of people can do that on the planet. So it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat to be able to do that, and then, doing it live in front of people. And the more people that are watching, the better. I get a little fired up and kind of not like showing off, but like, yeah, here we go, man. Get your popcorn ready. Here we go. So
do you get more excited, or do you feel more like adrenaline in this year you made it to the final stage of Q School, right?
2022 I did. Yep.
Or last, yeah, 20, yeah. So do you feel more like adrenaline there, or competing for the world championship in long drive?
This year was definitely long drive. Now, if we go back to my Champions Tour debut at Pebble Beach and Spyglass, I've never felt that much adrenaline on the first tee at Pebble, the first round. I mean, it was crazy. I played a lot of golf in my life. My last really important round, or one that mattered, was the final round, second stage of Q School in 2004. So it was 17 years since I've been in that position, right? So the first tee, I shot 2 under at Monterey Peninsula Country Club in the Pro-Am. So I was playing really solid. And, I get out there and playing, I was just flushing it, right? Played a practice round with a bunch of the guys, and they were awesome. They treated me awesome all week. And made a bunch of friends, and it was kind of cool having like VJ and Retief and these guys watching me just rip drivers over the back of the range. They're like insane. I had my TrackMan out, and 198, 201 ball speed, and they're like crazy. So, but I get to the first tee, warmed up the first round, hit it awesome. Get to the first tee, they announce my name, and it's just like a rush of heat went through my body. And I felt like I had a 4-iron off the first tee at Pebble. I'm just going to hit it in maybe 235, just a little baby cut. And I felt like my arms weren't even attached to my body. That's how much adrenaline was going through me. It's not like I was nervous, because I was prepared, right? I was playing well. And it was like I was so short and quick with the first one. I couldn't even, my body was all over the place. And I started out, I hooked a 4-iron out of bounds, made a double on the first. Not only making a double on the first, I made like a 25-footer for double. And then the second hole, I snap hook a driver out of bounds, make 8, right? And then the next hole, I blow it way right because I didn't want to hook it, hit a 7-iron, flushed it over the pin of the back bunker, almost make par. I made a bogey. So I'm 6 over after 3 holes, and I'm like, oh my goodness. I can't hey, relief pitcher. So 9 holes, I made 2 doubles and a triple, and I shot 45 on the front 9. Now I can't even remember the last time I shot 45. It's not like I was embarrassed. It was like, it was just a completely different, I was out of my element for a little bit, and it was like, wow, okay. Now I know I'm playing well. So the back 9, I said my goal is to shoot even par in the back. And I was even on the back 9 until 18. And then I hit driver, and I hit it just right of the tree, absolutely smoked it. And I hit it in someone's backyard. So then I took a 3-wood, hit a 3-wood, landed in the tree. Thankfully, it kind of kicked down. I punched the 4-iron in just in front of the bunker, and I make a bogey. So I make a birdie in my second ball. So I shoot 37 in the back, shoot 82 in the first round. Thankfully, that round was over. And, I kind of went back, had dinner with my wife and some friends, and I'm like, it was just, you can't simulate that. And that's the thing, right? You can't simulate that type of adrenaline, that type of feeling. You just have to do it.
Exactly.
You can't say, oh, this one's for, first tee at Pebble Beach, and this one's for the World Championships, and this is for whatever. And the next day I said, okay, so today everything was going 1,000 miles an hour once I got in the first tee. I'm going to slow everything down to a snail's crawl. And I got up slow. I took a shower slow. I brushed my teeth slow. I ate slow. Everything I did was really slow. And I was like the last one to get to the 10th tee at Spyglass. And I played like a high-level PGA Tour player that second day. I shot 4 under at Spyglass. And it was just a completely different. Now, I wouldn't have known that if I didn't have that experience the day before. So, and it's just like, okay, so I did this. I analyzed what I did. Okay, so we're gonna switch it up. We're gonna slow it down and just take nice, long, smooth swings and kind of go from there. And I tied the low score of the day at Spyglass, and John Cook and all the guys were like, man, what a great round, because it was cold. It was 51 degrees. It was blowing a little bit. And, but it was a really cool experience. I was able to make that adjustment that quickly. But I had been playing well. It's not like I was playing poorly. And the 82 was more of a, wow, here we are, right? I've been waiting for this for a long time. And so, but hopefully I'll get some more opportunities next year.
Yeah, I was talking with Kyle about a very similar thing because he's done some tournaments and with, I think, mixed success and some struggles and stuff like that. And it's the kind of thing where if you don't do it a lot, how could you expect to be used to it? So of course, yeah, you might go out and you're not used to it and whatever, you just happen to have a good day. But it really seems like the people who have the success in mini tour golf or tour level are the ones that do it every single day. And like they're, playing golf just becomes like breathing for them. It's just something they don't even think about. It's just something to do. And so like if you take people who have been on the tour for a long time, it's that same way. They show up and there's thousands of fans around them and they're walking, there's media and this, and they don't give it a second thought. And if we step up to a long drive event, there's people screaming while we're, there's music playing, whatever, while we're hitting and trying to focus. It doesn't bother us at all. We like it. It amps us up. But it's just it's a matter of being used to something versus having it be like a new kind of, whoa, I'm not entirely sure how to respond to this. Because then you're kind of stuck. At least I feel like I've been stuck in between where like if I show up to a tournament and my adrenaline and everything kind of gets high and I feel like I have to suppress it. And then sometimes at a long drive event, like I'm really amped up and I feel like it's just like this weird, like, do I go with it? Do I keep it down? And I think the more experience you can get on it, the better. But it is, I mean, obviously Bryson has shown you can do both, but I think it's tough just because of that mental, emotional side of it. So. Yeah,
no doubt. It's definitely tougher. Just from the aspect of it's definitely like when I'm playing, like I probably did one speed session every month when I was actually playing. And after I would do a speed session, I'd hit some little 9-irons, once I was getting ready, after I was, gassing up the speed, hit some flighted 9-irons, some wedges and just kind of hit little 120-yard 9-irons just to kind of feel the flow and the sequence of the golf swing and go work on short game and pitches and stuff like that afterwards. So I think that's really important. If you are trying to gain speed, you still have to keep your golf swing intact if you're, trying to score. So, but yeah, Bryson's, he's proven both. Once people are saying, oh, the long drive is ruining his golf game. And then, no, I disagree with that. I think, he's still a high level player and, he'll win plenty more in his career.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk a little bit about, because to me, it seems like there are two different kinds of long drivers. You have a tournament golfer who's very fast, and then you have somebody who comes from another sport background who maybe doesn't have quite the technical component to it as much in terms of like a beautiful, graceful, whatever you want to call it. But obviously they're producing a ton of speed, so they have the right technique for that. But they're more like, they're just crushing it. They're just brutalizing the ball. So how do you kind of merge that? Because obviously you're very, very fast, 220, and getting faster, but you also hit great golf shots and you know how to flight it and shape it, and you're very consistent.
Yep. When you talk about, that violent swing, like Ryan Winther, right? He is so fast. I mean, it's crazy. And he won the world championship in 2012. I mean, that's a guy, I think it was a baseball player, right? High level baseball player. And a lot of the guys are like, they're so freaking strong. And it's just like Will Hogue, another guy, right? The guy's, he's not big, but he's 6'3", 6'4", 210-ish, 205, 210, 215. But they're just so strong. They muscle the golf ball. And not that they have the prettiest golf swing, but it gets the job done. I mean, Will's won tons of events, and Ryan's a world champion. But like the way I kind of combine, I think the release, I really believe that we have to have some flexion in our left wrist. I don't think, extension is no good at impact. We want to rotation, obviously. And I just think of flow. I think of, really rotating. And I think I do a lot of it. I couple my training with my golf swing. So I do a lot of similar moves, rotational moves, not necessarily golf swing moves, but rotational moves, powerful moves, core, rib cage, hips, and like I said before, I added Rotex motion in, and it's been phenomenal. Like, I've never felt healthier, adding that in there just because of the mobility aspect. And I'm, going to be 52. And that's been a big reason why I put up higher speeds as well, because I'm more mobile, I'm healthier. I'm not like I don't have a lack of mobility. I can still rotate, 120 degrees. Like when I was out with Dr. Greg Rose, he was like sitting there with his mouth open. Like, it's unreal. Like, your 3D and your, your force plates, or, 2.5 or 2.6, my body weight going in, as soon as I pretty much land in transition. So, I pride myself on having a good golf swing, but, having a good golf swing doesn't mean you're going to be fast. But, doing, all the power principles that I believe, are very important. And I've always, that fast twitch, right? The explosiveness, I've always been that way. So genetics do have something to do with that. It's not like I was swinging 105 and then all of a sudden I'm up to 150.
Sure.
So I've always been fast and always been the longest player, even in like junior golf, high school, college. And then when I got into long drive, it's been good.
So let's, in like a hypothetical scenario, or let's say you're in the open division next year and you have some guys who are faster than you. What are you going to do? Like, how do you approach that? Are you trying to go as fast as you can? Are you trying to hit the best ball in terms of flight and everything, optimize for the conditions, combination?
I think with 6 balls, Steve, I think it changes from 8 balls like we did with World Long Drive, right? So 6 balls, I pretty much wanted to swing it, 208, 210 in the first 1 or 2, get the first 1 or 2 in, because we all know, and I said it 50 times when we were broadcasting, right, with you and then Bobby Bradley as well. 0 points is you can't have a 0 point set. Maybe in the first day you can, but as the tournament goes on, and just like we talked about in the final 32, Gavin, Bryson, and Sam had 1 OB set each, right? 3 for 2. And if they just gotten a ball in, it would have been, 2 for 1, or 2 of them, it would have been over. So it's, even if you hit a crappy ball in, right, you finish 4th, it's still 25 points. It could come down to 25 points. And I think that's really, really important, especially as you get later in the competition. You have to have points every single set, regardless if it's 4th place.
I completely agree.
Come down. I don't want to be in a playoff, right? I mean, the last thing you want is to be in a playoff. So,
yeah, I had that reinforced in a hard way this year, where I did great on the first day, hit good balls in each of my sets, and then the second day I had 2 OB sets, and it was like my brain just shut off. It was unbelievable, and exactly what you're saying. Like, I would have been better hitting it 300 yards and just putting a ball in play, but it's hard to do. And so when I did, I was talking with Bobby Peterson and Ryan Riesbeck, and we were having that conversation where it's like, you got to play the game. And I think the round robin format is a great format because it really does allow the more consistent hitters, the faster hitters to rise to the top. Yeah. But you have to play the game and you have to put balls in play. Otherwise, you're kind of like opening it up to chance. Like, I have to win these next 2 and stuff like that. So,
yeah, look at Justin in the final 16. He goes OB. But Justin James is also arguably the fastest guy in the world. He's a 230 guy, right? Him, Kyle, Greg Knoll, Martin, he could literally go 200, 200, 200. And I think he finished 3rd, right? He goes OB the first 2 sets. Yeah. So a guy like that, now if a guy that's in the middle of the pack that's maybe 212, 215 goes OB, and it's going to be tough, because you got to go win or win second. So it's hard. But a guy like Justin or Kyle or Martin, who are really, really fast, but the ball also, as like I did a lot of, analyzing when I was there, because I hadn't hit the ball until the first day on Friday that I hit. And I was watching Bryson hit it. I'm like, man, these guys that are 205, 206, I mean, the ball's going really far. And the guys that are 220 plus, the ball's really not. I mean, guys are winning by 10 yards. So it's kind of weird it's over compressing. So I figured that 208 to 212 window was like perfect. And I was talking to Martin today about it. We were hitting some balls at Orange County National, and like I hit a ball in the semifinals. I hit, I think, my second ball in the semis, 393, and I hit it good. I think it was 212. And the 5th ball I hit was 214 on the button, right down the slot. And I'm just like, it's over, right? Because Gavin was at like 404, I think, or 403 or whatever he was. And I'm like, that's it. I'm in the finals. And, and I went back and watched it, and Mike Bauman was in slot 1, and he hit 198 ball speed within 5 seconds of when I hit my ball. So it was basically at the same time. And mine was 214. I was 16 miles an hour faster, and I absolutely smoked it, right? Beautiful flight. It was like 120 feet in the air. And I'm like, and then I only beat him by 3 yards. So it's like, that's really weird how I can be 16 miles an hour faster and hit it really solid. I know I didn't spin it much, probably 2,200, 23 maybe. And I only win by 3 yards. It's like, that's really weird, unless he hit a hard spot or whatever. But it's like, man, so I knew that ball, I think the really fast guys, they weren't getting nearly as much out of it as the guys that were 205-ish. That's kind of what
we saw that. I think back in 2019 as well, where in the finals, like Kyle was the fastest, but there were a lot of guys that were like you're saying, like significantly slower, but they're hitting it just as far, very competitive within a couple yards. And so it makes me wonder, like, is there something weird about the way they're compressing the ball, and maybe their peak speed? So like, let's say they measure it at 205 and then somebody else is at 220. Is it possible that the 205 ball is actually faster, but it's compressed differently and the peak speed is different than where the TrackMan's picking it up?
It absolutely could be. I mean, I think there's a law of diminishing returns, right? I mean, a ball can absolutely get overcompressed. You can actually break a ball at 230, right? I mean, you could literally crack the center of the thing, and it could fly weird, and it might not go as far. And speed is great, but it just comes to the point to where, what's optimal for the golf balls. And this year it was cool that Bridgestone came along and we got a new ball, but it kind of wasn't, because I didn't hit the ball. I mean, most of us didn't even hit the ball. So I have no idea what to expect, right? I knew what the Top Flight Bomb did. So I was hitting it all year. But this ball's like, well, and then when I hit it, I had 219 a couple times, and I thought it should have gone farther. I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. So I just figured, then I'd watch Bryson and I'd watch some guys 205 to 212. I'm like, man, the ball's going really well at those speeds. So that's kind of where I tried to sit. Like in the finals against Gavin, I was just so locked in. I'm like 208 to 212, hit it solid, and I couldn't have asked to hit it any better. And every single ball was 208 to 212. And I heard the one that just barely went out was 408. So, but it was, that's kind of where I wanted to sit. And I knew if I was there and hit it solid, I'd have a good chance to win. So,
yeah. And without seeing the grid cam and seeing the kind of bounces it's getting and stuff like that, it is hard to say. But I mean, you have to have speed. You have to be able to max out when you need it. But it really comes down to who performs. Like in any sport, it comes down to who hits the shots when they need to, and they'll win.
Yeah, absolutely. So, people ask me, I've had a couple interviews and stuff, and I think the thing I'm most proud of is, and even in my career, right, when the bell rings, I usually show up. And there's times where, I haven't won or I haven't performed at my best, but, that's going to happen. When you put yourself there all the time, it's not always going to happen. But I think the thing I'm most proud of is at the biggest moment, I performed my best, and I was in the zone. I was like so locked in. I was so calm. And I had a certain plan, and I executed it to the best of my ability. I couldn't have asked to hit it any better, any more solid. I absolutely center punched all 5 balls that I hit. And it was really cool to be there. And I knew I'd prepared really well. And like, even going into the week, like win, lose, or draw, even if I got beat, I would have been like, there's nothing more I could have done. Like, I prepared as well as I could have. I trained the best I could. And I did everything I needed to do from my experience in long drive to be successful. And just because you work hard doesn't mean you're going to be successful. It just gives you an opportunity to be as successful as you possibly can be. So that's kind of what I was focused on. And
what are some of the mental things that you do? Do you have a routine? Are there certain things you actually you're actively thinking about?
Yeah, well, I've been working with Paul Doolin since 2016, 2017. He coaches a lot of mental coaches, a lot of tour players and LPGA girls and Korn Ferry guys. And we became friends. His daughter played with my son in Little League. So we kind of we kind of hit it off, and he's freaking awesome. Just an awesome guy. He's helped me so much on the mental side of it. And long drive is kind of like regular golf. It's just not for 4 hours. It's for 2.5 minutes. So it's just, you have to be accepting of everything. If you snap hook 2 in a row left, whatever, it is what it is. And I would be like, oh man, maybe my swing's off. Oh, it's just, you're swinging at 145 plus miles an hour. I mean, it's going to happen. You're off by this much and it's not going to go in the grid. So I think you have to, I think the biggest thing is accepting every shot, whether you snap hook at OB, you block one dead right, or you pipe one right down the slot as good as you can hit it. You have to treat all those the same. And I think, and I think Kyle does a really good job at that. Yeah. By his 8th ball against Tommy Hug in 2019, right? He was down to 1 ball. He had to hit like 411 plus, right? And Tommy hit a bomb. And we're like, oh my God! But he stepped up there, just nice and calm, went through his routine and just let it go, and he hit a perfect ball.
So when you're actually on the tee, putting the ball up or setting up, what's actively going on in your mind? Anything, or you just kind of go blank and perform?
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm focused on what I'm doing. I mean, I get locked in when I'm on the tee box. Like, I want to rip their throats out, right? I'm the nicest guy off the grid and friends with all these guys. But when we get into that, we get on the tee box, it's like, it's over. That's kind of my mentality, right? Not to take anything away from my competitors or whatever, but that's just how I compete. I want to rip your throat out. Right. Sure, yeah. I mean, that's the mentality. I would expect everyone else to be that way, competing against me, right? Because they're trying to beat me. And that's the mentality I've always had. I've always been super competitive, but I can kind of turn it on and off when I need to. But, I have a similar routine when I'm in long drive compared to regular golf. And I pick a spot, 8-10 feet in front of my ball, like might be a tee. There might be a tee up there where, okay, that's where I want it. That's my start line. So it's much easier to line it up 8 or 10 feet in front of you rather than 390 down the grid.
Right.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. I usually pick a spot in the mountain where I want to hit it, and then I kind of line that up with whatever it is that I'm trying to hit it over. And that's kind of what I want to do. I've got a shot shape in mind depending on the wind. And as a golfer like you, if it's a right to left wind, I want to hit, like a couple times I wanted to hit a nice flat cut. And that second ball I hit in the final was absolutely perfect. Even the first one, I hit it right where I wanted to. The second one, I just absolutely nuked it. And that's kind of why I don't show a lot of emotion on the tee box, but it was like after the first one, I'm like, oh man, that's a really good one. Then 405 popped up, and then the second one, I was like, oh my goodness. So, and that one went 411. But yeah, but from a routine standpoint, it's, go through the routine every single time, just like a putting routine, do the same thing, whether it be 2 practice strokes. I kind of bump the ground a little bit, and that's kind of part of, what I do to get a little bit fired up.
Nice. Yeah. So one thing I've been giving a lot of thought about, to is swinging hard versus swinging fast. And obviously we want to swing fast, but it's really easy for me, and I'm sure for other people who maybe come from other sports or whatever. Like when you're working out, it's easy to swing hard, to put a lot of effort into it, to have your muscles get real tight and rigid, but that does not really produce a lot of speed. And conversely, if you're focused on swinging fast, maybe you'll be a little more like whippy, a little more loose. And it's different. So what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, effortless power. That's kind of what I go for.
Yeah.
A lot of people like, man, it doesn't look like you're swinging 150. Like I was out with Dana Dahlquist right before ESI, and I'm swinging at 150. That's when I put up my fastest speeds, right? I put up 155.8 on TrackMan, and then I put up 225 ball speed, and it's just like, it just doesn't look like it, and people, they DM me all the time. There's no way you're swinging that fast. It doesn't. I'm like, bring your TrackMan down or whatever you want to bring down. I'll swing for you. Like the other day I was spending some time with this gentleman over in Tarpon Springs, and he has a TrackMan 4, and it's dead on the money, right? And Matt Killen was there. He's an instructor, awesome guy. And he's this gentleman's instructor. And, I'm putting up 150, 151, 151 and a half. And it's like, it just doesn't look like it, but that's the efficiency, right? That's the whole package of having a good, efficient golf swing and, being able to train and rotate and use everything as efficient as possible, kind of having that flowy golf swing and being as fast as you possibly can at the ball. I'm the fastest at the ball, right, or just before the ball. And that's why it doesn't look that fast. And, being 6'4", 215, helps. But I think a lot of the things I do from a release standpoint is really, really important. And you have some, I was looking at your swing, you have some of those characteristics of the, through the ball. You want, the driver and your left arm to be in one line. So instead of swinging a 48-inch driver, you're swinging a 68-inch driver. So the longer the lever, the faster you're going to be. So I learned that when I was 15 years old. I never realized how profound it would be the later I got in life. So, but yeah, it's super, super important. And, you see a guy that looks like he's swinging 160 and he's swinging 138. And you see a guy that looks like he's swinging, 125 and he's swinging 150. So
it can be so confusing, though, because you'll see people who are really fast, like Martin intentionally has a quick takeaway. And then who would be a good example? Like David Mobley, I think he intentionally has a slow takeaway. Yeah. So you'd see people that do it really well. They do it both ways. And I guess you have to experiment for yourself, right? But sequencing, if you lose sequencing, you're not gonna be creating speed.
No, not at all. And I did it's funny, I've been talking to Drew Cooper a little bit, and once I went out, because I felt like all my speed comes from my upper body, rotation, and I don't need my lower body. Well, everything is kind of connected. Once I went out to TPI and I did a few tests with Dr. Greg Rose, and, I said, Doc, let me just try a couple things. I said, I'm going to try to not use my lower body, and I'm just going to rotate. I'm just going to try to swing as fast as I can with my arms and my hands and see what it does. So it was like 2.5 or 2.6 times my body weight when I was going all at it, right? 150 miles an hour. And then when I didn't, when I just tried to use my upper body, my hands and my arms, I was just trying to, it was like 2 times. So it was only, instead of, 550 pounds of force going into my left foot, right, in transition, it was 2 times. So it was 450. Yeah. So it was like only 100 pounds less. So I'm like, oh my God. I felt like I wasn't. So that really changed my thinking, because everything, the pelvis and the middle needs, your arms need your chest, and everything, it needs the middle and it needs the legs. So that was really eye-opening for me, because I didn't realize that, obviously the ground is the major power source, even though my arms and my hands feel like they're obviously I'm swinging the club with my arms and my hands, but realizing that the force, even though I didn't feel it, I was just trying to swing as fast as I could with my upper body and not staying flat-footed. I still had a crap ton of force going to my left foot. And it's amazing how you can measure that. And that was really eye-opening for me.
Yeah. And until you see it, it's hard to believe. Because what you feel versus real, I mean, that age old thing. It's
completely opposite or completely different than what you think.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so I'm going to be a little bit selfish here. That's part of the privilege of being a podcast host. So
yeah, man,
I sent you my swing. I want to hear, because you do a great job on your YouTube channel of doing an analysis. So break down my swing a little bit, and I'm curious to hear what you see.
I'm going to pull it up. Did you email it to me?
I think I texted them to you.
Okay, I got my phone right here. All right.
And I'll overlay the swing on the video here.
First thing you need to do is take 2 weeks off and then quit, because your swing is terrible. No, I told first time I met you, I think it was 2016 or 15 or 16 or whatever. And I'm like, man, this is a big guy. He swings it. So I could tell you were a player. You're a good player, because just how you swing. And you swung it so smooth, and you're definitely more dynamic now than you were.
Well, it's part of that process. I'm trying to figure out how to be dynamic, but not exactly what we were just talking about, putting in force in an inefficient way. So it's a bit of a process, but thank you.
Right. So you have my move a little bit. You kind of squat down a little bit. You got a little flex the right knee, and then you go right leg extension the way back. And then you stand up, you get up a little bit, nice long back, man. Your backswing is long.
Are you looking down the line or face on?
Down the line.
Okay.
Down the line. I'll do this first, but yeah, your hands are in a really good position. God, there's so much force there. Good Lord. Really good. This position, I don't know. Oh, you can't see that, but I'll kind of point this toward. I love this position right here. I don't know if you can see it or not. So you see that position right there. That is your follow through. I absolutely love that. You know, your left arm and the club are in one line. That's one of the reasons why you create as much speed as you do. Look at the creases in your pants. Everything is engaged. Right leg, left leg extension. Absolutely love that. Rotating underneath. What's your AOA?
That day, I think it was around 5 or 6.
Yeah, that's money. That's where I like to be. I don't like to be any more than 7. I think 10, 11, 12 is just too much.
I never see that out of me.
Yeah, I'm usually between 4 and 6. I like to sit there. I know my spin rates, what they are at 4 to 6, and this TPT shaft has been nothing short of amazing. So it's really, I think 4 to 6 is money. And I love your golf swing, man. Your left foot never moved that much. Really, really good. But your lower body is so powerful. Right, but that position just past post impact, like what I just showed you, but you've got all the power elements, right? And the extension of the arms, it's really. Let's get the backswing real quick. Did you send me one face on as well?
Yeah, I think it was right before that.
Yeah, I got it right here. All right, this is fun. I will do your thing.
Putting you on the spot live.
I haven't done it in a while, but I will do your swing so we can post it.
I'm curious to hear what you see looking face on, because then I want to mention something I've been trying to work on that I think was my problem. But I want to hear what you have to say first.
You got it. Yeah, that's so good. Oof. Yeah, I mean, you come up a lot. You come up about 4 or 5 inches. You really extend that right leg. I would almost like to see you not extend it so much. You almost hyperextend your right leg. It's almost a little bit too much if I'm splitting hairs. But you load it, and then when you squat, dude, that's you just. I mean, look at your quads. I mean, that's crazy. I love how your left leg like there. I mean, you're already. I need to get there. Your left leg is already extended, is already straight. And that's such a powerful position. That's so good. I'm going to do your swing next. I'll do it this week and then post it on my YouTube channel. I'll send it to you.
Cool. What I wanted to say was right. What you were talking about there is kind of posting the lead leg or. Like using the ground with that lead leg. Because what I've found is when I make like a normal golf course swing and it's more of that fast versus hard feeling, I feel like I load more into my lead side. When I start to swing harder, it feels like I never quite make that transition into the lead side and then push back. It almost feels like I just stay on the trail side, right, and I'm not effectively using that. So if I were on the force plate there on that swing, the face on, I would imagine the lead leg really wasn't pushing all that much. It might look like it there, but I would suspect it wasn't a ton.
So your head, right? Your head isn't really coming forward at all. I would much rather see. I come left a little bit. I almost kind of have a little downward, so I'm creating the force into the middle of my left foot and my heel. And then by centrifugal force, by rotating, my head comes back. So like your head, like Mitch Dobbin does the same thing. I work with Mitch a little bit. And like your head right here, I don't know if you can see this, right? Your head, I'm going to try it. So top of your backswing, your head kind of doesn't come left at all. It's almost going back. So you don't have a ton of force going left. You're definitely hitting it more off your back foot. So I probably, even though how much do you weigh? 260, 255?
Probably 250.
250. So 250, I'm 215. I probably have more force than you going into my left foot. And that's just because I get more left. I get more of that force going down into the ground. And then when I snap the left leg, it's a rotation this way. And like Jamie was awesome. Jamie had a great move, and he created so much force and so much power at 5'10", 180. So, but I love this position right here. If you can get that right shoulder a little bit higher, it almost like if I can stand up and do this, right? If we can get more in transition, almost, keeping the right shoulder higher to really create the force. Because if the right shoulder, the trail shoulder, gets too far underneath too early, where's the force going? It's going up, right? It's not going down. So we want to create the force. It's almost like here, and then it's rotate and let it go. Right leg, left leg extension in transition. So, but that's what I would like to see. You do a little bit more of, kind of get like your center of mass is over your right thigh in that picture, right? Yeah. When you're halfway down. So,
and it should be more on the left, more on the lead leg.
Absolutely. Okay. Now this position is absolute money. So the shaft, your left leg and left arm are in one position. That's just post impact, right? That is awesome. So if you could create more force going left, into the ground, because your lower body is as strong as anyone's, if not the strongest, right? You and Justin's an absolute beast as well. So, and he's got 3 times his body weight going into that foot. I mean, it's crazy. So, right shoulder higher in transition, get more force going to that left heel, left middle of the foot, left heel, and then start rotating, and then you extend the left and right leg. I think you're going to pick up speed like that. There's no reason why you can't.
That's good to hear.
50 plus.
That's good to hear, because I was kind of feeling the same way, but it's hard. I don't know. I feel like for me, for whatever reason, communicating certain things with golf can be tricky because of how different it is. Like the words you say I might hear them, but I interpret them a different way. But that kind of seems so when I was warming up that day, when I took that video, I was like when I was swinging, like just warming up the loose swing, it was like 212, 214. It was easy. And then I would swing harder and it wouldn't go anywhere. And the ball speed would like stay the same, or I'd hit it a little less solid and it would go down. And it's just really frustrating to have that on that day, but I'm going to use that as a learning thing. And
Yeah, for sure. But I think if you have more force, you keep that right shoulder, your trail shoulder high in transition, right? Your first move down has to be this way. You have to go that way before you can go that way. Yeah. So, and then I think by rotating, you get the force going to left foot, you extend both legs, and then you rotate, and you're still going to hit up 4 to 6. And I think you're going to gain speed really quickly.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate that. It's great to learn from you, hear from you. So what's next? I know you're doing a lot of social media stuff. What can people watch for coming up here?
So Jeff Flagg, Dr. Joe LaCaza from Rotex Motion, and myself, we're putting together. I mean, I've gotten thousands of emails and social media, DMs from people, and what are you doing? I'm 48. You've inspired me to play golf and get faster. You've proven that, and I think that's kind of, I want to play golf. I would love to play the Champions Tour. I think it'd be so cool. But I think not my passion, but my, I would say my calling or my purpose would be to say, hey, I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're 65. You can still get faster as you get older, as long as there's no, real physical limitations or issues that you have. There's no reason, if you commit to something and, you have a plan, right? You have a certain plan to follow. And, the workouts I do are literally 30 to 45 minutes with Rotex 10 minutes a day between activation and recovery, and then a couple speed sessions a week. There is no reason why you can't gain speed. I mean, I've seen it over the last few years, just the people that I've worked with and just certain things. And it's amazing. You don't have to spend 3 hours in the gym. You don't have to be crawling out of the gym to get a good workout. I'm bouncing out. When I do a workout, I'm like, literally, I feel awesome. I'm like all activated and I got a great workout. And and I'm getting faster. I don't want to set PRs in the gym. I want to set PRs on the golf course or, on the grid or, whatever I'm doing. And whatever I'm doing is, in my opinion, and what I've proven is correct. So I'm getting faster as I get older. I don't know how long it's going to last for, nor do I care. I'm just going to keep pushing the limits of human performance, and I'll be 52, and I want to get to 230. Like Martin said to me, I said, I want to get to 230. He said, what, 225 wasn't good enough? So I'm like, well, no, it's not that it's not good enough, but why can't I go 230? There's no limitations. I don't see any limitations. I'm not like, okay, I'm 225. I'm complacent. I'm, whatever. I'll do whatever. No, I want to push it. I mean, like Michael Jordan had, one NBA championship, wanted 2, and then 3, and then Kobe Bryant. I mean, he would be the first one in the gym, last one to leave. And I think that's the mentality you need as an athlete, or it's just kind of who I am. I just want to keep pushing the limits, right? How much faster can I get? How much better can I get? How much more efficient can I make my golf swing? Can I compete and maybe win a world championship in the open division? Who knows? I mean, let's go for it, man. Let's have some fun with it. And, and hopefully win number 3, next year. I mean, that's the goal. That's the end goal. But those are all the end goals, but the process is what the coolest thing is for me. I mean, I showed up this year to Worlds, and I was prepared. I was prepared mentally, physically, emotionally. I was just completely confident, and I knew if I had hit my ball, I figured if Gavin and I hit our balls, we'd be in the finals, right? And then at that point, I was probably a little bit faster than him this year. And if I hit my ball in the final, I would have been very difficult to beat. And it kind of worked out that way. But, he's inspiring as well. I love competing with him because he pushes me. I know how good he is. He's been good for 20-something years, however long he's been doing long drive, which is a feat in itself to be swinging it that fast for that long.
Yeah, for sure.
And, we got Riesbeck and Shook and a bunch of other guys coming in the division next year. So I've got to raise my game, right? I mean, there's no guarantee I'm going to make the Final 8 next year or the finals or whatever. So I'm just going to keep pushing and see if we can get after it again. But the same mindset. Now that I've won 2, it's like, before you win your first one, it's like, yeah, you can do it, but it's a matter of, doing it at the right time and at the right, hitting the right ball at the right time. And it's like, then you do it a second time. And it's like, okay, I know how to do this. Like this is my comfort zone now. It's like, now, let's go win a bunch of them. So, but it's fun. Like, even like in the future, right? As the older I've gotten, I realize the process is so important. It's way more important than the actual tournament because all the work is done. I see guys out there hitting 3-4 buckets of balls. I'm like, you're not going to find it, dude. You're not going to, like, hitting 4 buckets of balls before you hit at the World Championships. You're not going to find it. So all the work is done, the 3 or 4 months before the World Championships. And that's what I did. And I knew exactly how many balls I hit, about 85 balls in warm up on Wednesday, took Thursday off and was ready to go on Friday. So I always stick to my plan. I know what worked for me. And, thankfully it worked out.
Sure did. Yeah. I love what you said a minute ago about your goal in the gym. It's just really to set you up for success on the course or on the grid, where that's where you want to set your PRs. That's where you want to perform your best.
Right.
If you do it in the gym, okay, great. But it's not the goal. That's not what you're really working for. You're only using that as a tool to get somewhere else. And I think a lot of people, again, it seems like there's two camps. And I know I might sound like a broken record, but you have some people who aren't doing anything and they want the plan and they need they want to follow things and that's great. And see someone like Jeff Flagg or like myself who can, help you with the program. But you then need to have the understanding that whatever you do in the gym is really only to facilitate better performance in your sport. Yeah. And if you go and you can squat 500 pounds, maybe that'll help you, but maybe not. You need to have it all as part of the package, the program, and do it in the safest way. And you're living proof of that. I mean, I'm not in any way saying you're not strong because you're very strong, obviously. No, but
I am strong, and that's the thing, right? But I don't bench press. I'll bench press every once in a while just to kind of mix it up a little bit and have some fun with it. But I won't go max. I might do 185 and bench it 10 times or do like on a different bar or whatever, just to kind of just do a little something a little different workout here and there. But everything I do in the gym is for a purpose, and everything I do in the gym is to make me better on the golf course. And everything I do with Rotex is to increase my mobility and increase my flexibility and increase my, my overall, body balance, if you want to call it that. My body is extremely balanced. I can swing it lefty pretty damn fast. I can swing it over 140, when I want to, left-handed. So, and I think that's hugely important for not only the health aspect, but, if you can swing it lefty, then it's like, okay, so let's do it righty. And I think that's hugely important. I think a lot of people miss out on balance of the body. Like you got to do it the opposite way. Jeff and I trade in all different directions. It's not just, right-handed. I'm not just hitting, right-handed shots. I'm rotating left-handed and dominant and non-dominant side, very equal. It's got to be within 5% speed, power, mobility, and flexibility. And that's massively important in my opinion. And I think, what I've proven and what I've shown over the last several years is I can do what I do and keep getting better at the older I get, but also, keep wanting to learn, right? I'm always open to new things. Like Jeff says, hey, I got a new move for you. Or Dr. Joe's like, hey, I just, I figured this out. Like he's like a scientist, like, Eddie, I got this new move. Like, I want you to try it on Rotex. Let me know what you think. So, but just like stuff like that, like if I feel like it's going to help me, then by all means, like I added Rotex. Like I did Rotex a little bit in the past and didn't really, once I really understood it and talked to Dr. Joe about it and really said, okay, I'm going to commit to this and let's see if it makes a difference. Well, I wish I'd been doing it for the last 5 years, 6 years. But I think it's a huge tool for anyone that plays golf. Number one, long drivers. Number two, any rotational sport, because it's just going to increase your mobility, flexibility, strength, all that.
Mm-hmm. And it's pretty easy for some people, myself included, to kind of have some of the ego when you go in the gym. Like if you have a training partner or something, you just want to beat them in whatever it is. And you can let that get out of hand. There is a healthy component to that, wanting to beat people, but exactly to our point here, you need to have it be directed towards your sport. And if that's Rotex or if it's whatever it is that is part of your plan, and I mean, you got to stick to it. So you're living proof of that. You're living proof. You should. And like you said, people watching, you are inspiration for a lot of people who want to hit it farther and who want to hit it farther well into their career and just get better with age. That's your hashtag. So
yeah.
I really appreciate your time and your insight.
You got it,
I mean, we both got some work to do leading into next season, but I think we're excited for it.
Let's go for it, man. It's going to be fun. That's why I love it, right? I love new challenges. I love like figuring it out. I want to get better. And I think if you have that mindset of, let's get after, let's see how fast we can go. Let's see. And, when I bought in with Jeff and this is going to, what we're doing is going to completely, change the landscape of how rotational athletes train. Not saying that other programs aren't good, but what I've done and what we've done and what we're putting together is going to save time. You're going to probably not get injured nearly as much. Like he was injured all the time when he played professional baseball. He'd be squatting and benching and doing all this stuff and, cleans and jerks and all this. Like you're in my opinion, like if you're an Olympic lifter, then you have to do that. Right. But if you can do a similar movement with your joints and everything in alignment, right, and you can still be explosive and get the same effect like what we do, then it's I don't have to worry about my wrist angles and like my wrist I don't think was supposed to do that with a bar of front squats. I'll see some tour players and I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah,
like,
for sure. Some people definitely should not be doing that, but it. Like Jason Zubak, for example, does a lot of Olympic lifts, and he's extremely proficient at it. It's a very technical movement,
right?
But yeah, some people they should not. I'm curious. I want to try that more. Maybe we can get together in this off season and go over some stuff.
For sure, man.
But there's a lot of variety. Some people should do that. Some people shouldn't. Either way, there's a learning curve if you are going to do it, and probably the Rotex would be a simpler, quicker way to get into it for most people.
Yeah, no doubt. It's really, really good. And I don't push around a lot of weight. Once I understood that from my trainer in 97, 25 years ago, that you have one body and one false, trying to impress a girl or whatever in the gym or, doing whatever, that could kind of be it or be the end of it or the start of the end. And, you blow out a couple discs or do something, you could really do a lot of damage. And I've always checked my ego in at the door. I never had to be the strongest guy in the gym. I just wanted to be the best guy out on the golf course. And, with my evolution of training, learning from Jeff and Dr. Joe, it's been nothing short of amazing. And I'm, 230, here we come. We'll see if we can get there, but it would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
but,
man.
I have a week plan. I started today, just kind of get some baseline numbers. So I start training tomorrow. So after 11 weeks, I'll check in with you, see where we're at. So,
I want to see it, man, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, we got to wrap this up, but I really do appreciate your time. And, like I said, you're an inspiration to a lot of people, and I want to see that 230. So
thanks, buddy. Yeah, I'll tell you what, it won't be for lack of trying if I don't get there, but I'm going to give it hell. So that's I know no other way. So I'm going to do everything I can. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, but I'm sure as hell going to give it my all and do the right things, training, nutrition, recovery, all that stuff. So.
And where can people follow you as you kind of chronicle your journey here?
Yeah, so Fast Eddie 480 is my Instagram and Twitter handle. Almost at 10,000 followers. So we'll
all right.
It's funny with Bombers and Bombshells, right? Bobby and Kyle and the girls. It's like Mackenzie Graham. She's 18. She's awesome. She's one of our partners in it. And I had more followers than her in May or like April, right? And now she has like 125,000 followers. I'm like, well, I'm not 18 and cute, so I guess I'm just an old guy on Instagram. But no, it's cool. I'm so happy to be a part of them as well. We have a blast, and that's going to be ramping up as well. We're going to start. Kyle's almost healed up after his hand surgery, so we're going to have some fun on this off season.
Awesome, man. Best of luck. I'll see you soon.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for having me, Steve.
All right. Bye, everybody.